So in my last video, I shared how my mother died in a van, living the van life, and how this woman claimed POA, power of attorney, over her, and then how this woman manufactured a fake will in order to get control over my mother's assets. First, I really want to thank everyone who watched that last video, who commented on that last video, and everyone that showed support on that last video. It was extremely surprising. For those of you that asked whether I was making money off of my mother's death, no. My channel was not monetized at the time. And as of this moment that I'm making this video, my channel's still not monetized. I never wanted to be the my mom died in the van girl. And for those of you that were wondering if I was like trying to make a career off of my mom's death or out of my mom's death or something like that, just for background about me, you can Google me. First of all, I'm a former Miss Jamaica. I competed in China, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Japan. I have done a lot of television. I've done quite a few films, and I've done a ton of modeling. I was just in a billboard in Times Square. And if you go into LA Fitness, you're going to see my ads there. I was also the president of the Meningitis Foundation of America for a number of years. So I was not looking for fame based on my mom dying in a van. I'm very personally fulfilled with the career that I have had. So I'm also not in my 20s or 30s and will soon be out of my 40s. So this was not why I did that. I really did it for people out there that are in my age, that are in my generation, that are about to experience their parents aging and their parents having to go into nursing homes, or having to have home health care, or having to need some other assistance. And I have a lot of friends that their parents are getting ill and they work full-time jobs and they have kids. So they're considered the sandwich generation because they're between their parents that are getting up in age and are getting less independent, and their children who are new in life and are also not independent, obviously. So that's why I did the video about van life. I think, as I mentioned in my frequently asked questions video, my stepfather was a truck driver. He was a long haul truck driver. We grew up on the road, so we were very familiar with driving. I personally, as a young adult, have driven across the country 6 times. So I'm very familiar with what it's like to live life on the road. I grew up with a father that was on the road. We used to ride in the truck with him on the road when we were little. We are very familiar, more familiar than any van lifer, with what life is like on the road. This is why I made the video, because for people as experienced as we are with driving alone, as women, with living alone, with growing up with a father as a truck driver, with all of that, this can still happen to you. So I wanted to drive that home, and I did not make the video because I was looking for sympathy. I made the video because I wanted people to understand how vulnerable you can be, even when you think you're empowered, even when you think you're independent, even when you think you have your shit buttoned up. That's why I made the video. So I'm making this video to expand on that point. So since I made that video, a lot has happened. And so I'm going to try to update you guys on what has happened, what I can say, what I can't say, I won't be saying, obviously. And I want to just offer some tips for what these kind of scams look like, because they are really like long games. These people seem to have kind of infiltrated into my mom's life like a while ago, starting with the woman that pretended to have the POA and then presented this fake will. It seems like she used her mother, which is a much older woman, like in her 80s, to befriend my mother. So after we cleaned out that van, I was able to recover a lot of documents that my mom had. We kind of figured that, oh man, somebody really got a hold of her and made her feel dependent, made her feel like she could trust them. And it's just amazing how we were kept out of that conversation between those people, and that this woman basically was dealing in my mother's finances and we had no clue. Now, just for additional context, me and my siblings were financially independent from our mom. All 3 of us are extremely financially independent. And so we have our own life. We've moved out of the home. We've never had to move back in. We're not boomerang kids. We never had to move back in. We're all financially independent. We all have our own careers and we all lived on our own. So we never had to ask our mom for money, which is a great thing. And I think that's probably one of the things that she's probably most proud of. A couple of things that we noticed is that this woman seemed to know the difference between civil and criminal, and she seemed to know the difference between coercion and deception. And so what she used was deception to get us to give her the van by lying to us and saying that she had the title. And we also now have witnesses that have spoken to this woman that she basically left our mom in the van because she got mad and basically abandoned her there and didn't call anyone, didn't do anything, didn't say anything. She just left her because she got mad at her because our mother yelled at her. And we've had multiple witnesses that have said that she told them the same story. And this is the story that she also told us. So, which is ironic. This is the story that she told me, is that she got mad at her and decided not to go back and left her there. But now we have witnesses and we have evidence that pretty much invalidates that she ever had a POA in the first place, and also that after she could not produce a POA, that she then manufactured a fake will. So why is this happening? Well, number one, we're entering one of the biggest wealth transfers that Americans have ever seen, with a lot of the baby boomers passing away and leaving things to their children who are millennials and so forth and so on. So this has been well documented. And a lot of people have started to talk about this and what's going to happen, and all these people are going to inherit these houses, etc., etc. But some of the other aspects that are going to happen are scams, like the one that I'm experiencing now, because of the way that the economy is, because there's people that feel like they didn't get their fair share, or just plain envy. You know, in my video, like I post about, you know, my family history and stuff like that, and some people just feel envious because of whatever they feel like they should be entitled to. I don't even know. Some people are just trying to get a come up and get some money and move on so that they think they can do their thing. There's some legal aspects of this, there's some personal aspects of this, there's opportunists, there's a lot of reasons why people want to, you know, create inheritance fraud. There's fighting between siblings and things like that over who gets what and why and stuff like that. And so because I have gone through this a few times, my dad died when I was very young. I lived a long time with my grandmother, and my grandmother passed away. So I had to go through the probate process a few times. I've had to learn what to do with assets and what to do with, like, inheriting a house, for example, inheriting a house that's paid for, also inheriting a house that has a mortgage, and what do you do with things like that? And I think a lot of people are going to learn from the first time what that's like, and then what to look out for. So a lot of scam artists actually start early, especially if it's a long con. There's a thing called a long con, and I know, like, true crime is really popular right now. And so they start early, and it may seem innocent. And a lot of this, a lot of the characteristics of, like, a scam artist is very similar to how you would make a friend, like at a store or doing something that you like. And especially if you circulate around the same community all the time, and people start to track you and think about what you do in your daily life and what you like to do, and then, you know, offer their help, offer their friendship and stuff like that. And especially with old people. So a lot of scam artists will start with, like, giving you money, like, oh, I'll pay for that for you, you can get me back later, kind of like a friend, right? And or they'll start with accepting money from you, like, oh, can you cover that and I got you later? Or just feeling comfortable accepting things of extreme value from you without the expectation of giving it back. They'll also be exceptionally kind and tolerant of you no matter what you do. And you kind of wonder why. It's like for example, my mom was a very difficult person to get along with. She was highly judgmental, highly critical, and she just did not keep friends. And a lot of people did not tolerate her behavior. But these people did. They tolerated her behavior, and they were almost like overly nice to her. They'll also try to convince you that people in your life, like your family, aren't good enough for you, that they just don't understand you, they don't appreciate you, you're too good for them, they don't love you, they don't know how great you are, like all of those kind of things. And so when people start saying things like that, then you should start questioning why they're saying things like that. A lot of people are so hungry for attention, so hungry for validation, so hungry to be liked or loved, that they don't really question what the thing is that's going on behind the person that's saying it, the why in it. Why are they doing that? Why are they saying that? One of the biggest giveaways is that they never want to meet your family. They always want you to meet their family, because the more they pull you into their family, their mother, their father, their uncle, their cousin, their children, the more they pull you away from your family. But they never want to invite your family. And when they do meet your family, if they happen to meet them, they're kind of like a little bit cold towards them. Like they don't really want to engage with them. They don't want to build a relationship with them beyond the relationship they have with you. Another thing is they volunteer to help you with like personal / professional matters instead, and they try to discourage you from going the professional route. Like, oh, I can help you with that. I've done that before. Oh, you don't need to go to a lawyer. You don't need to go to an accountant. Oh, I can help you with your books, or I can help you with your finances. Oh, you want to make a will? I can help you with that. Or, you want to organize your stuff. Oh, I can help you with that. But they never want you to do it through a professional vehicle, because what they're doing is just taking more and more of your life and intertwining it with their life, and then they're making you more and more dependent on them. Another tip is to make it very difficult for people to find the assets for people that are not very close to you. So this involves actually getting an attorney and actually knowing how to organize things and so forth, but doing that has a big advantage, because it's not so simple as I have a fake will, or this person gave me guardianship over them. It's not so simple as that. And it's a lot to undo. And there's a lot of stopping points in the process before those people can actually take anything. And what you want to do, so I would say setting up deterrence is like one of the most valuable things you can do, because even though it's more work on your part, but separating you from your money and making it very difficult for other people to get through you to get to your money is like one of the best things you can do, because people get worn down and people get tired, and there's a lot of tools out there that just make it very difficult. And fortunately for us, there's a lot of context to our mother's life and to our family that make it very difficult for strangers to really understand. And it may look from the outside like, oh my God, this is just amazing. And it's not that easy, and it's not worth anybody's time. And so that actually is a big deterrent. And honestly, you get tired, and by the time, and you run out of money, okay? Because at the end of the day, we don't really have control. And so that is one of the biggest things that I think is to our advantage, is that what people perceive is like, oh my God, I'm going to scam this woman, I'm going to get a come up. And then you realize that, oh, this woman is not the woman that makes the decisions at all. So you don't really get anything from this whole affair, because all you're going to do is spin your wheels and spend your money and spend your time. So guys, this is not over for us yet. I don't know where I go from here in terms of like sharing what I can share and what I can't share about what happens with this matter and with this case, but I will do my best, because I want people to understand what is going on and what they can do to protect themselves. At the same time, to people out there in the van life community, and I think I definitely rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Look, one of the things that I would say is make sure that all of your important documents that you have are not with you, okay? Because it just takes somebody going into your van and taking those documents, and then nobody else in your family ever seeing them again. Yes, our mom had mental illness. Yes, she had a lot of problems. Yes, she had an inheritance. Yes, at one point she was a stable mind. Yes, she did know how to live out on her own, and she could definitely conduct herself in everyday life without a problem. But she got sick. She got sick in a confined environment, and that made it impossible to maneuver. There was a lot of clutter. Clutter piles up in a van very quickly if you're not well and you're not mobile. And then someone came along and offered her help, and my mom was too prideful to say no. My mom was too prideful to tell any of us that she was that unable to help herself, and they took advantage. That can happen to anyone. It's not specific to van life. However, living in a van does make you vulnerable, just like being a truck driver makes you vulnerable to a lot of just like, you know, I lived as a model for more than 20 years. Being a model, being in a different country, being that you don't speak the language, makes you vulnerable to a lot of things. Anything that takes you out of your environment, out of your element that you are conditioned to function in, makes you vulnerable. That is just a fact of life. It's not an attack on van life, it's a fact of real life. Is this message to the woman who is doing all of this, is you are not a young woman, you're older than me, and you weren't that much younger, you're not that much younger than my mother, in fact, and your mother, in fact, is quite up there. And one of the things that I thought about in the last few weeks is that this thing that we're in right now, you and I and my siblings and this whole thing, is going to take a number of years to play out if we continue down this path. And your mother is most likely going to die during this process. And this is going to be your shared time together that you have. This is it. This is what it's going to be, you know, because she's pushing 90 or something. And so this is what you got. This is the time you have with your mom, and this is how you're choosing to spend it, okay? I don't feel bad about how my mother died. I don't feel bad about it because my mother was living her dream, and I know that, okay? And that's why I knew that she needed to be out there living the van life, because that's what she wanted. That was her dream. That was her dream my whole life. But I have a feeling that being caught in litigation, in a court case, in a civil court case, and then in a criminal court case is not your dream. That's not the dream that you want. And I have a feeling that that's not the dream that your mother wants, and that's not the dream that your mother wants for you. Your situation is not that great. And I think maybe you thought this was a Hail Mary, but it's not a Hail Mary. And I'm sorry that it's not a Hail Mary. It's not a come up. It's not a come up for you. It's not a come up for anyone. It's going to cost you more than what you could ever get from it, okay? And it's gonna cost you more time. And if you've seen that my mother died at 62, and you're not far from that, is that how you wanna spend the rest of your mom's life and the rest of your life? Because this shit is stressful, okay? Going to court, going to civil court, going to criminal court is stressful. And from what I know about you, I'm not gonna go there to the extent that I'm gonna pull a scab, because I have a feeling that what you have recently experienced in your life, saying it out loud, is a bad scab to pull. But you've already been through this. You've already been through a court case, okay? A criminal court case. I don't think you want to go through another one with you on the other side. I don't think you want that, okay? So all I'm saying is now is a very good time to think about how to get out of the situation that you're in, how to back out of it. I'm not really interested in putting you in jail. That's not my goal. My siblings do not feel that way, by the way. I feel that way because I've put somebody in jail before. I know how fucked the situation can be, and it does not feel good. So, and you've put somebody in jail before. So I know the situation is not great. Don't let this situation be how you spend the last days with your mother. Because I know that's not what you want. And that's not what I would want for you or for anyone. Also, I would say don't do this, because not only are you going to take down yourself, you're going to take down your mother, you're going to take down one of your children, because, you know, and you're going to take down that notary, okay? And I can probably think of a couple of other aspects here, and all those other people that are involved in your clan there, all those people, you're going to take them down too. So I would really think about that, if that's the direction you want to go, because I'm sure a lot of these people have kids, and then they're going to have parentless kids, okay? Don't let your ego get in the way of that, okay? Don't let your righteousness or whatever you think it is, your envy, your hatred of us, your envy over my mom, or whatever the it is. Don't let that for your life, because it is definitely going to your life. Another thing that I would say is there is no scenario in which you win in this situation, okay? There is no scenario. There's no honor in this. And I know that men value honor more than women here. You know, I know you want to go to Vegas and be like, I came up off. I know that's what you want. But here's the thing. Anybody that you tell this story to is not going to feel good for you. They're going to feel bad for us. Okay? That is how that is going to go. That is just the nature of human nature. That's how people are. There is no aspect in this. There's no storyline in this where they're like, girl, you did the right thing. Girl, you won. Girl, you're right. There's no narrative there where you are right. And now your friends may be like, yeah, girl, okay, But here's the thing, that's what they're saying to your face. Behind your back, they're like, I'm not trusting that girl around my mother. That's not my friend. They know who you are and they know what you did. You see, getting revenge for what happened to you and your family on somebody else because you think you're entitled right now because you're hurt, because of something that you experienced, is actually not going to make you feel vindicated in any kind of way. You know, it's just there, and you're already in a bad place. You're already in the dark place. That's pretty obvious. And whatever it is that my mother said to you in that car, in that van, that allowed, that inspired you, that motivated you to just say her and leave her there, you took way too personally. And that was your first mistake, is that you took it way too personally, and you thought that it probably meant something more than it did, and you internalized it. And that was probably your first mistake. And I know you may feel like you're getting revenge, or maybe you feel like you're hurting us, you're trying to teach us a lesson, or whatever. I don't know, whatever your moral justification is for it, but you're not. You're not even making us angry at you. All I really care about is correcting this situation. I don't really have any emotions towards you. So I would just recommend, I don't know, go to therapy or something. Talk to somebody, okay? Because this is a thing unnecessary, completely. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I really appreciate you guys with the last video, and I will see you in whatever I create next.